Welcome to the AMA Virtual Academy. I am Peter Marcus. This is video number 3 about live looping with our instruments, our voices, anything you want to live loop. And in our last video, be sure you check it out because it's a great introduction on how you can set up very precise loops. If it's not precise, it'll be frustrating for you and the listener. So some really simple exercises, be sure to check that out. We also talked a lot about gear, how to get the sound out of your instrument and into the loop station. One thing I didn't talk about, some of you might have noticed this, it is a 1/4 inch wireless system. But one thing it does do is clean up my foot space so I'm not tripping over this cable coming out of my instrument. It's something to think about if you are heading to a performance of live looping career. Today, we're going to talk more about various loop stations and loop pedals, and then also about effects pedals, and eventually we're going to start talking about arranging the music, whether you are doing a cover like Old Town Road or you are doing your own original music. So pretty fun stuff we got going on. Let's talk first about the gear. In the last episode, I was using this. This is a single loop station, and it has you can add on and keep adding and keep building, but it's just the one loop, so you have to play something that does loop, like Viva La Vida or Old Town Road. It does allow you to erase the last thing you recorded, so that's kind of a nice thing, so you can have a little bit of arrangement. This is a great practice tool, and it also can be fun if you're playing in a band. You can add this on as just one separate instrument. One of the tricks is the band has to play along with whatever loops you've created, but it's a pretty great deal. This is made by Boss, the Roland Boss Corporation. It's an older version. They have their newest one, the OC-3, and it can store up to 99 different tracks. So if you want to have some things pre-recorded. Also, this and the other loop station I'm going to introduce in a moment, they have rhythm, backing rhythm. One nice thing is that when you input, it will pick up your tempo and match your tempo. Next up is down here on the ground, and this is the one I'm using today and used in our first video. This is Boss's larger pedal. It has 3 separate stations, and you can see track 1, track 2, and track 3. Each one of them has a play and record, and also a separate stop. And that separate stop is really nice because it's just one click, and that track will stop however I have it set up. I can have it set up to fade out in a certain amount of time. I can have it set up to stop immediately, which sometimes we need to do. And I can also have it set up to stop at the end of a loop. And if you saw closely, that's how I had it set up for that version of Old Town Road. With this little pedal, if I wanted to stop, I have to click it twice. And in our last video, I introduced just a separate auxiliary pedal. This is a little keyboard pedal that can be used for sustain on a digital keyboard. It can also be plugged in as a stop or abort pedal. With both of these, you need power. And I don't know why, but a lot of these pedals are not sold with power. They do have batteries capabilities, some of them, but I recommend that you make sure. And this will just be a little extra money, but obviously you have to have power. And then I want to look over here. This is the rest of my band. On the far left, this blue one, it creates for me delay. So you can hear that echo. And I used it also as a rhythm instrument. So you can hear that little extra effect. It also has in it, if I set it up, a short little setting that I can actually loop. It's not robust. I hit the pedal and it starts recording. I hit it and it stops recording and starts looping for me. I can add on to that. It will record up to 30 seconds. So you can see it's pretty limited, but it might be a nice option, especially as an add-on if you're playing in a band. Just have a short little idea and a low investment, not terribly expensive. Next, to help my arrangements, I have a reverb pedal. and it just gives a little bit more presence. I like to use the reverb pedal for my melodies, and it makes the violin timbre a little bit different so the melody might stand out. And then lastly, you might consider this, especially if you're playing a treble instrument, and that's an octave pedal. I specifically use the Super Octave OC-3 by Boss. There are a lot of products out there that have many, many effects within one pedal station. I just happen to have these three separate, but there are many products out there. And I will also include later on a list of a lot of different gear that I like to use or have researched about. Finally, with loop station, you don't have to use your feet. Boss also makes a new pedal, and it actually has 5 separate stations. Now they're set up with buttons that you would use your hands, and so it might be commonly for a vocalist, somebody who has their hands free. There's also computer apps, and you'll commonly see live loopists with a computer sitting there, and they're recording and repeating back. That can be done as simply in GarageBand, Audacity. There's several of them, and again, I will include them in the list. That's the little update about gear, and like I said, we're going to talk more about this specific loop station in our next video. So let's talk about subscribe, like, and follow at Peter Marcus Music.